Hi. So in this video, we are to cover some very basic idea in statistical analysis, and we are to start with the differences between qualitative and quantitative research. So there are quite many of them, but basically I would describe qualitative research as research generating new knowledge and quantitative research as research used in order to make some conclusions about predefined research hypotheses. So typically, when it comes to analytical process, qualitative research is inductive. Induction means that you have some particular observations, and based on this, you want to come up with generalized theory. In contrast, quantitative research is hypothetico-deductive. So this means that you go from general to particular. You already have some theory to base your research on. Based on existing theory, you can formulate your research hypothesis, and you use quantitative research in order to confirm or reject your research hypothesis. So, for instance, when you want to come up with some new theory, let's say theory about human behavior or human motivation, you go for qualitative research. You observe. You collect some observations, and based on this, you want to establish some general theory. However, if some theory already exists and you want to test whether it works for a particular group of people, then you go for quantitative research. Consequently, when it comes to research design, under qualitative research, it's typically observational, holistic, and flexible. Holistic means wholesome. So you do not know on which particular aspects of behavior, let's say, or human interaction you want to concentrate on, because as I mentioned before, there is no theory being established yet. That's why you just collect observations. You try to absorb as much information as possible, keeping in mind that it will be subject to further interpretation and analysis. In contrast, when it comes to quantitative research, it's typically experimental, reductionist, and clothed, with variable of interest being predefined. Reductionist in this context means that you already know on which aspects you want to concentrate. So let's say there is a well-established theory of consumer purchase behavior, and you know that it is affected by age, gender, marital status, number of children, income, social class, cultural background, and so on. So someone already designed this theory for you. So based on this, you know that variables you want to concentrate on are age, gender, marital status, income, and so on and so forth. When it comes to methods and data, for qualitative research, it's mostly about interviews and field studies. So once again, you do not know what data you would like to collect. That's why you collect as much as possible, keeping in mind that this data will be subject to further analysis. However, when it comes to quantitative research, like there are many techniques for collecting data, including interviews, so in this case, this is common, surveys, experiments, and so on. But here, you concentrate on variables of interest. And typically, when you collect the data, it's measurable, which means numerical data. Again, as I already mentioned, qualitative research is holistic. You do not concentrate on any particular aspects of the research, while quantitative research is particularistic. So, as I mentioned, you already know on which variables you would like to concentrate in your survey, for instance. Under qualitative research, research hypotheses are generated. So typically, it's about developing some new piece of knowledge, discovering new facts. So in the process, you generate new theory. However, in the process of quantitative research, you test hypotheses. And your hypotheses are predefined by scientific theory which was developed earlier in the process of qualitative research. Under qualitative research, typical objective is to explore and discover ideas, while in quantitative research, it's about examining cause and effect relationship between variables. Not always, sometimes you're just interested in correlation, but quite often. As a result, qualitative research seeks to develop understanding of some processes such as human motivation, determinants of human behavior, principles of human interaction, principles of consumer purchasing behavior, and so on and so forth. While for quantitative research, again, typically, it's about designing some recommendations for the further course of actions. So this is it. Later, we will get back to those because in both cases, you can apply some statistical analysis, although your tools will be quite different under qualitative and quantitative research design. But nevertheless, I have to admit that we will mostly concentrate on quantitative research, which means that we are going to test some hypotheses which are predefined by existing theory, and we are going to explore the causal relations between different phenomena. So thank you for watching, and that's it for this topic.